The room changed the moment Dakota Johnson said the name. What had been a relaxed conversation instantly froze, not because it sounded scandalous, but because it sounded real. The host hesitated, the audience went quiet, and Dakota herself paused just long enough for everyone to realize this was not a hypothetical. Within seconds, Hollywood insiders were already messaging each other, asking the same question: how did this just happen on air? For years, Sam Heughan had been one of the most disciplined figures when it came to protecting his private life. He avoided vague hints, shut down rumors quickly, and never indulged speculation about family or children. Even playful questions were met with careful deflection, leaving no room for interpretation. That long-standing silence made the sudden appearance of a specific baby name feel explosive. What made the moment even stranger was Dakota Johnson's delivery. She didn't frame it as gossip, nor did she laugh it off as a joke. The name slipped into the conversation naturally, as if it were already known, already accepted, already real. To those familiar with media slip-ups, this didn't look like panic or regret, but familiarity. Almost immediately, viewers began replaying the clip. Social media filled with slowed-down videos, screenshots, and side-by-side comparisons of Dakota's expression before and after she spoke. Fans noted that she didn't rush to correct herself or backtrack. That absence of damage control only deepened the sense that something deeply private had just crossed into public space. The shock wasn't only about the possibility of a child, but about the symbolism of naming. In Hollywood, names are often the last line of defense between public and private. Rumors can swirl endlessly, but a name suggests commitment, planning, and emotional investment. It implies a reality that exists beyond speculation. As the clip spread, attention turned to why Dakota Johnson would know such a detail in the first place. She is not known for careless gossip, and her reputation within the industry is built on discretion. Insiders began pointing out that information like this is typically shared only in extremely small, trusted circles. The implication was unsettling. Dakota wasn't guessing. Context added another layer to the tension. Dakota and Sam have crossed paths in professional settings before, and sources suggest their connection runs deeper than casual acquaintance. Hollywood relationships are rarely linear, and trust often forms quietly behind the scenes. That environment makes it possible for sensitive information to circulate without public awareness. Still, the timing raised eyebrows. The revelation arrived without warning, during a period when attention around Sam Heughan's personal life was already intensifying. Any deviation from his usual privacy felt magnified under that spotlight. Instead of clarifying the situation, the moment created more questions than answers. Fans reacted with a mix of disbelief and curiosity. Some celebrated the idea of Sam stepping into a new chapter, while others questioned whether boundaries had been crossed. The emotional split wasn't rooted in judgment, but in surprise. Years of assumptions had been disrupted in seconds. What stood out to industry observers was Sam Heughan's immediate absence from the narrative. There was no statement, no clarification, no subtle signal through representatives. That silence felt intentional, but also risky. In situations like this, silence can protect or provoke, depending on how long it lasts. The name itself quickly became a focal point. It wasn't common, trendy, or obviously chosen for public appeal. Analysts noted its personal tone, suggesting meaning tied to memory rather than image. That detail reinforced the idea that this was not a fabricated story designed to test reactions. Behind the scenes, the response was reportedly tense. Publicists and advisors scrambled to assess whether the situation required intervention. Once a name enters the conversation, it cannot be retracted. The story had crossed a threshold from rumor into something that felt dangerously specific. As hours passed, one thing became clear. Whether intentional or accidental, Dakota Johnson had broken a rule rarely crossed in Hollywood. She had spoken a name that was never meant to be heard yet. And in doing so, she shifted control of the narrative in a way no carefully planned announcement ever could. Now, the question is no longer whether the story is true, but how long silence can hold it back. When a name is spoken, it changes the stakes. For Sam Heughan, the line between privacy and public life has never felt thinner. The reaction that followed was immediate, but it was not uniform. Some fans rushed to defend Dakota Johnson, insisting that no one with her reputation would casually invent such a detail. Others focused their attention entirely on Sam Heughan, arguing that the absence of denial spoke louder than any confirmation. In the space between those reactions, speculation began to harden into belief. Hollywood insiders describe moments like this as uniquely dangerous. Once a specific name is attached to a rumor, the story gains weight it never had before. A name suggests intention, preparation, and emotional reality, not fantasy. That is why so many publicists consider it the final boundary of privacy. As the clip continued circulating, attention shifted to Sam Heughan's silence. He is known for shutting down false narratives quickly when they threaten to spiral, yet this time there was nothing. No subtle clarification through representatives, no carefully worded deflection, not even a vague dismissal. The quiet felt deliberate, but it also felt heavy. For some observers, that restraint signaled control. Sam Heughan has always drawn sharp lines around what he chooses to share, and he has never relied on public reassurance to validate personal decisions. Allowing the story to exist without response may have been a way of refusing to engage on terms he did not set. In Hollywood, that kind of refusal can be a statement in itself. Others interpreted the silence differently. They argued that once such a personal detail is spoken publicly, inaction risks allowing the narrative to be rewritten without consent. Silence, in this context, becomes a canvas for projection. The longer it lasts, the more meaning is assigned to it. Behind the scenes, sources suggest there was intense debate about whether intervention was necessary. Any denial would draw further attention, while confirmation would permanently shift the public's relationship to Sam Heughan's private life. Neither option offered an easy exit. The moment demanded precision, patience, and restraint. Meanwhile, Dakota Johnson's role continued to be dissected. Her expression, tone, and lack of immediate correction were replayed endlessly. Industry veterans noted that she did not appear panicked or embarrassed, reactions typical of someone who misspeaks. Instead, she seemed aware, almost measured, as if she understood exactly what she had said. This perception added fuel to the theory that the revelation was not accidental. Some suggested she believed the information was already known within acceptable circles. Others speculated that she assumed the boundary had already shifted, making the name fair game. Either way, the moment exposed how fragile those boundaries truly are. As fans processed the situation, a broader realization began to take hold. Public figures may appear transparent, but visibility does not equal access. Years of interviews, appearances, and curated moments can create the illusion of intimacy without granting any real insight. This incident shattered that illusion abruptly. The emotional response, intense as it was, reflected that imbalance. Shock did not stem from betrayal, but from misalignment. People believed they understood the narrative, only to discover they had been observing from the outside all along. That realization is often more unsettling than the news itself. For Sam Heughan, the path forward remains narrow. Speaking could clarify the situation, but it would also confirm that the line has been crossed. Remaining silent preserves autonomy, but at the cost of allowing speculation to grow unchecked. Neither choice fully restores control. What is certain is that the story has already changed shape. It is no longer about whether Dakota Johnson said something she shouldn't have. It is about how one name, spoken at the wrong time, can dismantle years of carefully maintained privacy. In Hollywood, that kind of shift is irreversible. As attention slowly stabilizes, one truth lingers beneath the noise. Some revelations are powerful not because they confirm rumors, but because they remind audiences of what they were never meant to know. Once that reminder arrives, the relationship between public and private is permanently altered.